Okay, now we're down to the last choice of this game that I will make because the others here are like only the death row, the death paths, the death rows, the death choices. Like this for official soldiers. If you choose to run away, probably you're gonna get killed. If the selection, what's this again? Oh, yeah, if you choose to side with Song, you're gonna get killed. If you, oh, okay. So, here, let's see. This I got, died in halfway. Not even halfway. So in official soldiers, when they told you, if you're like, they're suspecting you in human trafficking, if you choose to fight them, probably you get killed or kids got killed. In the selection, if you choose Song, you will get killed because he will betray you. In the daring leader, this is the part where if you choose to run away to the rebellion, they will just shoot an arrow to you. This Wolf and Young, if you choose the money in, you will leave all the children to be sold in a higher price without caring on what they will go or they will become. Now we're in the finish body sharp. Okay. Now this says this is the real conclusion. Together in death. I think it's a good conclusion, but let's see. We're going to go now and join the rebellion, which I really love and I really wanted ever since I met the rebellion. So let's see where it's going to take us. Follow the rebel leader Lee by joining his army. And hopefully we can like kill the swine demon. I am hoping that we will kill the swine demon here and then we will go back and like have a reunion with the other kids or something, or maybe even see what they've become after years pass by. So that's what I'm hoping in this choice, but I don't think. I encountered a man in the mountains. He's dressed like a peasant from the northern Shanxi, wearing a bamboo hat and carrying a bag on his back. He's heading towards the west leisurely with his head held high and a smile on his face as if he is thinking of something wonderful. I step out from the roadside and ask him for directions. My abrupt appearance has startled him. The man takes two steps back, staring warily at the knife at my waist with a panicked expression. I know that he is taking me as a bandit. I don't want to be misunderstood by him, so I hurriedly explain that I am a swordsman who is traveling around the world. At this time, I'm traveling around Shanxi, but has lost my way because I am not familiar with the area. I want to ask him for directions. After listening to my explanation, the man puts away his weary look. With love, he enthusiastically shows me the way. He talks to me about a village nearby while he gives me directions. He invites me to come along with him. I nod and agree to travel with him. To keep myself from feeling lonely, I often talk to him along the way. I tell him about my travels from Jiangnian with bridges and rivers to the capital, where the emperor lives. At hearing this, the man is even more amazed because he has never left Shanxi before. He even said he wants to ask me for a favor. He invites me to a meal at his home and wants me to tell his children about the outside world so that they can learn more. I walk with him for several miles to his house near Gangquan town. I see the golden wheat fields and with a little cozy house. His daughter rushes out of the house and hugs his leg affectionately. His daughter hides behind him shyly when she sees me. He pulls his daughter from behind him. I smile at her and she smiles back. In the warm daylight, she and I both smiling happily. I wake up from my fantasy. What was that? Everything that just happened is my imagination. There were no natural disasters or tyrannical authorities. If this was not a world of chaos, everything would be different. If only there was a time when everyone had enough to eat and could realize their dreams if they work hard enough. If we live in an era like that, Sui's family would have survived and I would have met them as a swordsman. How wonderful would it be? But that's only my imagination. I am nobody and that big explosion took everything from me. I did not know how to live and just went with the flow. I survived by killing those who were just like me. However, after this month-long journey with her, I realized that I shouldn't live like this, nor should the world be like this. It should be modeling. Through the rest of my life, I should risk my life to be a swordsman. The world shouldn't be filled with waiting, despairing people who starve to death, and I hate them all. I made my choice and told her about my decision. Joining the rebel army to pay you back. She looks at me calmly, waiting for me to continue. Now, after years of catastrophe, the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. The imperial court and the rich keep their wealth and watch the poor kill each other. I used to think that the rebel army was wrong. I believed the rebel army overestimate their power and would surely fail, but that they would die for nothing, and nothing could be changed. The revolt was totally pointless. And now, after all I've seen and all those people I've met on my journey, I have gradually realized the truth about the world and what I'm supposed to do. Your family, my life. In the end, this world is to blame for the tragedies of our family. I want to join the rebel army and fight alongside them with my life against this crazy world to turn the tide. So please, let me live for a while. If one day I conquered Luoyang with the rebel army and killed the swine demon, it will be considered as repaying your debt. At that time, it will not be too late for you to come back to kill me for revenge. She doesn't say a word. Perhaps she's still skeptical of my proposal. It seems that I still need to explain more to her. Rat, I hope you can trust me. I'm doing this not because I'm afraid of death. I thought I was going to kill that swine demon on my own. Even if I were to die, it would be worth it. Then I thought about it again. His residence is heavily guarded, and I'm not sure if I could make it. Even if I killed him, nothing would be changed in this world. I told you so. Someone like him might appear in a few decades. It will be better to join the rebel army and capture Luoyang. Then I'll kill him with my own hands. That will change the world. I told her seriously about what I'm thinking. She pursed her lower lips and thought for a moment. Then she started to talk.
我逃荒的时候，听过一些反军做的事，他们的行径与盗匪无异，也是走到哪抢到哪。我怎么知道你跟了反军能还债？搞不好你会杀更多无辜的人，让原本的债越积越多。
I trust that guy. Mansui looked at me seriously, questioning my decision to join the rebel army. He's right. The rebel army is not kind in the eyes of the people. Most of the soldiers are no different from bandits. They rob whenever they go. Not only the landlords, but also innocent civilians. Only I was lucky enough to have seen a different group of rebel army. Also, there are multiple rebel armies. I see. I thought there's only one. I think they are different and I should join them. Rat, do you remember that group of rebel army we met in Jizu?
我们还给他们演过戏。
Well, I remember that their flag has a big character, Lee, on it. I guess they were General Lee's rebel army. I believe their military discipline was strict. After they entered the Lee village, they did not commit any crime against the villagers. Their leader was a man of decency. He was a righteous and very trustworthy. I know, right? It's like a big bro. I want to make a trip to Shanxi to look for this General Lee and join his rebel army.
他们当时说话算话，演完影子戏后便放了我们，确实不像是土匪的做派。
And maybe like there are a lot of rebel armies that pretending to be a rebel armies just for the sake of the name and like, hey, we're the rebel armies, you should help us. And then like loot on you, but they are different really. She lowered her head and pursed her lower lip in contemplation for a while. After a long time, as if she had made up her mind about something, she began to talk again.
也罢，梁爷说的确实有道理。我的仇人不该只有你。若是细想，致使我家到如今这副田地的。
Mansui let out a bitter smile while her eyes looked ahead, as if she was reminiscing about the
家
past.
本来很守规矩的，每年都会按时交粮。然而那些收粮的官吏却因为邻居跑了，没有粮，爹爹才要出远门卖传家宝。没有粮，我后来也打听过，家里耕的地确实是屯妖所属。他单单在中原地界征粮还不够，甚至邻近的三地也有人替他横征暴敛。这么说的话，普天之下，很多人的家破人亡， 归根结底确实是他害的。
Mansui gritted her teeth and clenched her fist.
行，良爷，我认可你的想法。
Will you join me then with the rebel
要是投
army?
了那闯军，有一天能跟着他们打到洛阳，杀了屯兵，
Oh, she won't.
我可暂时留你性命。
I mean, there's a higher chance that we'll kill the swine demon with her, right? We will like, continue with the first part of the plan in the real conclusion. And then, after we kill the swine demon, and the rebel army will suddenly go in and like try to save us and get out of the palace, and everyone wins. That's a good
毕竟
plan.
这第二仇人的命，去换那第一仇人的命，这买卖也算不得亏。
She gently raised her eyes and looked at me and
不过你
said,
不要忘了，我给你的命，只是暂借于你的。等到洛阳城破，屯妖身死的那一天，我一定会来找你的。那时，我一定会来取你的性命。
She bit her lip and said to me, I was relieved that she accepted my proposal to atone for my sins and that she's willing to call me Master Liang again. I can accept the fact that she will come and kill me when the swine demon is dead. Okay, it's a deal. I'm going to join the rebel army in Shanxi soon. I'll see you in a few years. Few years? Really? Well, I almost forgot to ask, where are you going now? I was just about to depart but suddenly become a bit worried about her future.
我大概和逃荒那几年一样，随便走走，活着就行。
You're not trying to kill yourself again,
应
right?
该不会吧？我还想多活久一点呢，活久点，好盯着良爷是否守约，也好在多年后杀了良爷。
Oh, so we're going to have a time skip? She said quietly, her eyes staring straight at me. She seems to be quite serious about that. Now that I don't have to worry about her trying to kill herself after leaving me. Actually, I thought about taking her with me and join the rebel army, right? It's more effective. Then I realized that it's not a good idea. Why? The rebels are outlaws chased by the imperial army all day long. She could easily get killed in the rebels' army. She have a better chance of survival on her own. I don't think she will die that easily. She's too smart for that. Moreover, General Lee may not want me to join his army with a girl. Oh, no, that's another problem. Besides, she's definitely not willing to go with me. She's keeping me alive now only because she wants me to kill her greatest enemy. She's only using me. I don't think she's willing to be with her second greatest enemy.
啊，我想到了，
While I was thinking about her future with a heavy heart, she suddenly spoke out as if she had thought of something.
为了防止我之后想轻生，也为了防止你毁约，
She suggested in a light-hearted tone. What kind of pact? I frowned in confusion and
以5
asked,
年为期。若是5年后，闯军攻入洛阳，良爷杀了屯妖，我们就在这里见面。
5 years? That's how long we're going to kill the swine demon? She waved her little finger that was bent, as if she wanted to make a pinky promise with me. Pinky promise? I stretched out my hand like her, while trying to recall how to make a pinky promise. I remember that when adults make a promise, they smear the blood as a sign of the oath, swear by the heaven. But it is a common practice for two kids to make a promise by interlocking their little fingers while singing a nursery rhyme. What was the rhyme?
上吊100年，不许变。
While I was trying to remember the nursery rhyme, she had already interlocked my little finger and was reciting it at the same time. Oh yeah, that's
喂
it.
良爷，你也念啊，两个人都念了才算数。
Well, I don't memorize it. I'm sorry. She recited it while urging me. Okay, cut your finger and swear. Should you lie, swallow 1,000 needles. Cut your finger. I drawled in low voice and finished reciting the nursery rhyme reluctantly. We made a pinky promise. We agreed that within 5 years I would follow the rebel army to capture Luoyang, kill the swine demon and meet again here in 5 years. I won't let the swine demon to live for 5 years. I heard that there are rebel armies everywhere now. Maybe they can capture Luoyang in 3 years. But the imperial army is also quite strong. The rebel armies may not capture Luoyang in 5 years. What if 5 years is not enough?
这10年吧，10 10年不够就15年，20年。
Come on, that's too
总
long.
之，梁爷和我要5年来一次洛阳。
Huh? 10 years? 15 years? You're willing to let me live that long?
对呀，反正梁爷活着就是为了帮我报仇，不要半途死了才好。所以呀，梁爷千万不能死了。
Good, that's a promise. I laughed softly twice after hearing her words, which I hadn't done for a long time. Aw. The brat wants to kill me anyway. We sat by the lake for a while longer. Time passed slowly, the wind from the lake gradually dried our soaked clothes. It was almost dusk. We just sat there in silence for a long time. Before it got there completely abrupt silence. It's getting late, I need to get out of the city before the gate closes. I have to go. Stood up and pick up my blade. Here's some silver, you'll need it on the way. When you spend it all, you have to make a living on your own. I took out some small silver tiles and that could keep her alive for some time and put them next to her. I'm leaving. Put on my bamboo hat and walk off into the distance. Until the end, I didn't have the courage to ask her to come with me. I also knew that she would not come with me. I knew the answer before I would ask the question. That made the question pointless. She said she would leave as she did she fled the famine before, but how exactly? How did she live when back then? Where would she go? Oh, maybe she will go back to Sis Yun? That her name? To her sis. I think that's the best place for her. With this question in my hand, I set out the long journey. As I got farther away from her, I seemed to hear her sobbing in a low voice. It was probably my illusion. Aww, that brat doesn't look like someone who would cry over a parting. Especially for a sworn enemy whom she wants to cut into 1,000 pieces. 5, 10, or 15 years later, can we really see each other again? And then maybe we could, if you're still alive, we can visit those 3 children, if how they are. I lowered my bamboo hat to cover my face and hurried out to the city before nightfall. I never returned to Luoyang for many years after this. Oh, we're gonna have a time skip here. 9 years? Oh my gosh! Too much! Really? And what would be that swine demon now? Like a really bloated guy? Kill the cows, sheep, prepare the liquor, and open the city gate to welcome General Lee! Open the city gate to welcome General Lee! We don't need to pay taxes in grain anymore! Welcome General Lee and no more grain tax! Welcome General Lee and no more grain tax! Smoke rose in all directions and corpses were lying everywhere. The north gate of Luoyang opened wide and the people shouted as they welcomed General Lee's rebel army into the city. The red flag with the character Lee is flying on the gate and the counselor was tied up in front of the gate, his pale face. The horses of the rebel army stepped over the corpses of the imperial soldiers and marched neatly through the city gate to the main street of Luoyang. General Lee was the forefront of the procession on his horse. He is in blue clothes and red cape with a straw hat on his head. His clothes have never changed after all these years. He looked quite imposing with one hand holding the reins and another hand held high, waving to the people along the way. I followed him closely behind on my horse with my sword at my waist, protecting him. That's so cool. In 1641, General Lee's rebel army captured Luoyang. It's been 9 years since my last visit to Luoyang. Many things have happened during the 9 years. I still remember I joined General Lee's rebel army in 1632. At that time, he was not called the king. After I parted with Mansui in 1632, I left Luoyang. That year, I traveled from the central plains to Shaanxi. I looked for General Lee everywhere before I finally found him. He was very happy to meet me. He asked me why I wanted to join his army, treated me to a feast, and let me become his bodyguard. I fought with him over the past few years and believed more and more that he was blessed by the heavens. In 1633, we joined up with the other rebel armies, but not long after, we changed by the Imperial Army. We changed by the Imperial Army and fled for hundreds of miles. But somehow, when we were about to be wiped out, the main force of the Imperial Army suddenly retreated. We managed to fight our way out. In 1634, we joined the hand with the army of General Zhang and took Shanxi. We had up to tens of thousands of soldiers. Wow, that's so many. Later, the two main forces of the Imperial Army attacked. We split up into two groups to survive, one heading towards east and one with west. General Zhang's army traveled east and was surrounded in Shixiang Gorge. They were also wiped out by the Imperial Army, but they managed to escape by fraudulent surrender. We were fortunate not to encounter many Imperial soldiers and managed to escape. In 1635, we traveled further west. A few months later, we heard that another rebel army captured southern Hebei and dug up the Emperor's ancestral grave. Why? General Li laughed loudly on hearing and claimed it was a pity. He regretted that he led the army all the way to the west and was not there in person to witness such a wonderful event. In 1636, perhaps the digging of ancestral grave angered the emperor. He appointed a few generals, and the Imperial Army won consecutive battles. The rebel army was cornered. That year, General Gao was defeated and captured by a very capable governor whose surname was Sun. He was sentenced to death and killed in the capital. That year, General Li became the leader of all the rebel armies. We had our hardest time in 1637 and 1638. Wow, this is like a whole summary of what happened the 9 years. In those 2 years, the Imperial Army chased us everywhere. We had to travel across grassland and climb cliffs. Many people died or surrendered on the way. In the end, there were only a few hundreds people left hid in the Shanglua mountain. I thought that General Li would give up by that time. After all, his family was dead. He used to have tens of thousands of soldiers, but only a few hundreds of them were left. General Zhang, who fought alongside him, surrendered, and so did Guo Xiangxing, who had followed him for several years. He should have surrendered if he knew what was waiting for him. However, he never thought of surrendering. To him, there are only two endings. Either overthrew the Ming Dynasty or died in battle. That's our General Li. Okay, now in the present. In 1639, the Central Plains like Shanxi suffered from years of famine. It was said that half of the population died of starvation. At that time, General Zhang rebelled again, and the main force of the Imperial Army had to fight his army in Sichuan. General Li seized the opportunity, and we fought our way out of Shanglua Mountain straight to the General Central Plains. What General Central Plains? I don't even know what I'm reading. Along the way, the rebel army continued to take its starving people. We promised them equalization of land and no tax. Numerous starving people were attracted by our vision, and more people joined us. 1,000, 3,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000! We traveled all the way south across the Central Plains. Before we knew it, the rebel army had recruited 100,000 soldiers. Welcome, General Li, and no more grain sacks. Welcome, General Li, and no more grain sacks. Shouting such slogans, we fight our outway straight to Luoyang. That's so nice. That's so cool. A few days ago, Luoyang was under a siege. The Swine Demon in the city organized a small troop to defend the city with a reinforcement from the Imperial Court. We had been attacking Luoyang for 2 days, and the defending troops couldn't hold on. Someone kidnapped the councilor, captured the Swine Demon, and opened the city gate for us. We captured the Swine Demon? Yes! We captured him! He roast a large ball of flesh crawled quickly on the ground. He wore a tawny imperial robe with a jewel crown on his head. His belt carved with dragons could not hold his fat. As he crawled, his fat shook violently. You don't have to describe it like that. That's disgusting. I suspected that his fat body would tear the big robe apart. That was the first time I had seen the Swine Demon. However, I recognized him instantly because of how fat he is of all those eating. In the Central Plains where half of the population starved to death, he was probably the only one who were so fat. One of the rebel army soldiers grabbed the Swine Demon by his collar and pulled him next to Li. They said, "I want to see Li. Why are you not letting me see Li?" He said the Swine Demon and his family, seeing that the city will soon be lost, fled out the city this morning. They hid in the temple by the city wall, waiting for someone outside the city wall to put a rope down for him so that he could climb over the wall. Wait, they hid in the temple by the city wall, waiting for someone outside the city wall to put a rope down for him? I'm so confused. Unfortunately, his son fled very quickly. The rebel army hadn't caught him yet. Oh, you had a son? Oh no. Fortunately, the swine demon was too fat to climb over the wall despite several attempts and was caught by us. Oh. Yes, bro! Yes, bro, he is the swine demon. Yes. Yes! Torture him! I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. It's the pent-up anger, okay? Yes, I delivered some girls to him in person 9 years ago. You saw those girls in person, brother. Yeah, but you didn't really deliver them, right? Are you telling the whole story here, Liang? Ah. They're safe, don't worry about it. I haven't seen them for 9 years, but I didn't give them to Swine Demon that year. They could be all alive if they're lucky enough. No, 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 wait for it. Hey, now, the deer doesn't know what's happening. Don't transfer your anger to the deer, okay? Only to Swine Demon. The soldier drew his weapon and pointed it angrily at the Swine Demon. Swine Demon trembled in fear and curled up. He didn't dare to speak. Lee stood calmly despite the rage of the soldier in front of him. The soldier pressed his lower lip to suppress his anger. After all, it was a military order. They couldn't kill the Swine Demon if Lee didn't allow it. I looked at Lee trying to figure out what he's thinking. It seems that he had a long-term plan. The Swine Demon had a high status, even Emperor in the capital called him uncle. What? They probably wanted to use the Swine Demon as a hostage and trade with the Emperor for something more valuable. However, I was wrong. I love this, bro! Come on! Now you get justice. Ah! Oh no! No, not the deer! Please, not the deer! Oh, not the deer! Oh my god! Not the deer! You know, if you're going to cook the deer, at least put them in a different cauldron. Don't mix him with the Swine Demon. He smiled and gave the order to the soldier. The soldier immediately burst into tears, and he almost cried. All of a sudden, all the soldiers dashed forward from the side and started to strip the clothes of the Swine Demon. The Swine Demon was so scared that he wet his pants. Ew! I'm so sorry. He started to cry at the top of his voice like a huge fat baby. Yeah, right. Tell that to those girls you have killed. Not just girls, women and men and everything. Ooh! Luoyang is indeed a big city. This is the fine stuff. The rebel soldiers found a suitable cauldron in a restaurant. They carried it to the front gate of the Swine Demon residence. Then Lee ordered soldiers to catch 3 Sika deer. No, not the Sika deer! I've carried up Swine Demon's residence. The deer eating the Swine Demon has been stripped of his clothes and got with a rag. He's been tied all up with a hemp rope. Several soldiers worked together to put him in the tree. No, I won't eat that deer. I mean, I will eat a deer if it's separated from the Swine Demon, but no, thank you. We made a lot of noises. People came to help in a short while. The people lined up. Some poured water into the cauldron from their wood buckets they were carrying. Some stuck up under the cauldron, and some just came by to share a little spice. Some wanted to spit in the face of the Swine Demon but were stopped by the soldiers. It will ruin the meal after all. Come on! I mean, are you really all going to eat the Swine Demon? The 3 deer were cut short and died soon. Oh no. At least the deer's like been mercy killed. Like it was like a quick kill. Oh what? Sorry. The swine demon was still alive. He kept whimpering in the cauldron as if he was making a final plea for mercy. His face is twisted. The cauldron was surrounded by civilians and soldiers. They would all bear witness to the making of a feast. It's so cool. Look at him. Freaking cool. Lee stepped out from among the soldiers and approached the cauldron.
身为秦王，夫驾天下，当如此计划，不肯发分毫汤仓，赈济百姓，是为今儿个我把他治了，杀鹿肉20，给诸位弟兄和百姓分20子，愿大家吃好喝好，共享这福禄宴。
You know, no matter how much you cook that swine demon, I won't gonna eat it. Lee held his head high and his red cape flying in the wind. He held a burning torch high and shouted to the people and soldiers around. The soldiers were raising their hands in applause as the crowd let out loud cheers, but the swine demon was just whimpering pitifully. He slowly turned around and ignited the pile of firewood under the cauldron with the burning torch, as if he didn't hear all of this. Oh, that's so cool. Wait, how? What? Oh, there's a large cauldron in a restaurant. You just got that from the restaurant? Now that's really large. With a loud bang, the fire burned up briskly under the cauldron and was reflected in the eyes. The people around, the eyes of everyone around were filled with red flames, and they all watched with tears in their eyes. They may have been seen the flames, their wives and children starved to death, their houses burned to the ground, the bodies of those innocent people who had been decapitated and used for fake military exploit. What is that sound? Fire burned for a while. Not long after, the pale ball of flesh in the cauldron began to struggle like crazy. His mouth was gagged with rag. Oh, okay, but he had been screaming. His voice changed from soft whimper to squeal that a pig makes when it's to be killed. Then his voice gradually faded. Gurgle, gurgle. The water was steaming and bubbles began to appear. Blood came out in the water from the pale ball of flesh. It first appeared bright red and turned into a weird color of dark purple. The swine demon was getting smaller. How do you even see it? Like, it's like so at the top. The people cheering, clapping, and perhaps gradually drowned out of the miserable screams in the cauldron. The voice of the swine demon was drowned out by the people's voices. It became lower and lower, was no longer audible in the end. After half an hour, the meal was almost ready. However, the civilians and soldiers were just lookers on. No one would want to taste the meat soup of swine demons. The soup was too oily. Your lugers overflowed the cauldron. Smelly odor comes straight to the nose of whoever dared to approach the cauldron. No one had the appetite. I told you no one's going to eat that. Meanwhile, the swine demon granary was open to the public, where grain was piled up. People were lining up to get their shares of grain, and they simply couldn't care less about this feast. Then the rebel soldiers took 2 old eunuchs in front of Lee, who were tied up. The 2 old eunuchs begged Lee to give their master swine demon a proper burial, even they were to be ground to dust. No way, I won't do that. Lee agreed partially. Why did you agree? He raised his foot and kicked the 2 old eunuchs to the cauldron. Then ordered soldiers to stoke up the fire under it. He ordered the 2 eunuchs to get what the remain of the swine demon out from the boiling water with their bare hands. Those 2 old eunuchs were loyal to their master, and they were actually willing to look for the remains of the swine demon in the boiling water with their bare hands. Wow! They screamed as they fish all the bones and flesh that they could find and put into the wood bucket. I just don't get it. Why are there still people who are willing to go this far for the swine demon who is so evil? Could it be that he did evil things to most of the people in this world, but not to the 2 old eunuchs? Of course. There's the one that benefited the most. Something else came to my mind as I looked at the 2 old eunuchs collecting the remains. What if they bring the remains back to the main court and erect a monument to the swine demon? Oh no! Push them into the cauldron! This way they can fabricate a story about the causes of the swine demon's death. If the Ming Dynasty wasn't overthrown, the Swine Demon would likely to appear as a heroic lord who fought them with the rebels, who and then died for his country in the historical records many years from now. But I guess there's no need to worry about that. Swine Demon was raised in a privileged position. All he did was to enjoy his lavish life. It's a miracle that he grew into a flesh of ball of 400 pounds in the Central Plains ridden with bodies of starved people. Some like him. No one would believe that he fought a rebel army with his spear and died fighting with all his might. Yeah, but they can like twist a story, you know, rather than fighting something. The city of Luoyang was captured and Swine Demon was killed. I have fulfilled my promise to Mansui. After the promise was fulfilled, I feel so relieved and relaxed. However, I'm also feeling somewhat lost. At this moment, nothing else I do is meaningful. All I want to do is meet Mansui and tell her about all that happened. I want to tell her the good news and that I didn't break my promise in the past 9 years. I've been doing my best to do it, and now I finally fulfilled my promise to her. Now you're about to die? So several days later, I went to the lake where we had agreed to meet when we reunited 9 years ago, and then to the inn where we had stayed. I went to all places I remember going to with her in hope of finding her. However, I still can't find her in the 5 days. Don't tell me she died. These places are bustling but empty to me. There are rebel soldiers enjoying feasts to celebrate their victory and people making fires to cook. Everyone is joyous, but she's missing. I walked through these places as if I were an onlooker. My heart grew emptier and emptier. She had probably broken her promise. On second thought, it makes sense. Wait! Yeah, we agreed to meet every 5 years. Now 9 years have passed and the promise may not be valid for her. Now what I'm about to say is that you always need to meet 5 years and it's still 9 years. So you need 1 more year for her to go there, right? Am I right, Liang? She was 14 years old then, but now she's 23. She's probably got married long ago and can travel far. Even if she's still single, why would she come to Luoyang again for her sworn enemy? Over the past 9 years, I gave a lot of thought to the worst scenario. Perhaps she died long ago. She might have died 2, 4, 5, or 6 years ago. After we parted, the natural disaster in the center place never stopped, and the world became increasingly chaotic. Drought was followed by flooding, which was followed by locust and then plague. There were rebel armies everywhere. Most of them were not as disciplined as this army. They were no different from bandits who raped, pillage, and killed. Not only rebel armies, some soldiers from the Imperial Army would kill the innocent people and turn their heads in to take the credit. They would roll their horses through the villages, burn all the houses, slaughter all the villagers, and cut off their heads, and then claim that they are the rebels to ask their supervisors for rewards. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people lost their lives due to the natural disasters. I have seen much more dead people than living on my way. Bodies of starved people were everywhere. Everywhere I went, there were mourning and moans. Corpses were gnawed by wild dogs, and human bones were left drying in the wind. She was only 14 years old girl, trying to survive on her own after all these years. Why am I expecting her to survive? The thought that she might have died long ago has thrown me to the depths of desperation. At this moment, everything I did in the rebel army over the past 9 years seems pointless. No, it's not. Come on. City of Luoyang was captured and the Swine Demon was boiled to death. My dream of many years have been just realized, but I can't feel the slightest stress. Maybe you should go back to, to Kite, and maybe she was there. Come on. Think, Liang, think. Why did I ask her to come with us? I should have at least brought it up to her. Not only did I try not to ask to come with me, I didn't even bid farewell to her. I left in a hurry after chatting with her. I just said a few words to her casually, that it was the last time we saw each other in this life. In front of the Dolphin Demon's residence, the Barge King will start staring at a team of barge troops heading out foods and weapons to the people. The rebel army has stayed in Luoyang for a few days in case the Imperial Army fight back. The rebel army is training some civilians to defend the city with them. Lee has been occupied. There are lots for him to deal with. I've waited for almost an hour before I finally get a chance to strike up a conversation with him. Brother, I've got something to tell you. Oh, sorry. I'm leaving the rebel army.
啊？咋真突然？娘，你这是要死不存心？
No, everything has been great in the army. Brother, you've been so good to me. The brothers are also good people. Before I joined the army, I said I was doing it to fulfill a promise in the first place. The city of Luoyang has been captured and the swine demon is dead. Now that my promise has been fulfilled, it's time for me to leave.
哦，我想起来了。当时你来投军时候说过，你说你原来把那女娃她打傻了，你把那娃骗了，让她暂时不要杀你，等你杀了吞药再杀你，对着不？
No, I didn't lie to her at that time, but that was about right.
哎，那你见说过个女娃了没有？
It's I need to wait for another year before 10 years, right? No. So many years have passed, I guess she died along the way in a messy world like this. Still, I'm leaving the army. After all, it was the idea of capturing Luoyang and killing Swine Demon that kept me going. Now that we've made it, it's time for me to go.
这都实现了，你错了，咱的愿望还没实现嘞，咱还要继续买东边大，买南边大，咱要赶走所有的狗官恶霸，让所有人都过上好生活。娘，你应该跟我继续打，咱不为别的，就为了公平的能吃饱饭的天下而打。再一个，真多苦日子都过来了，你这个时候走了多可惜啊！
Yeah, I wanted to stay with you, I really do.
以后我当了皇上，给你封官，赐给你耕不完的地，再跟着我坚持打一会儿就好了啊！
Oh, so you're aiming to be an emperor. I mean, you deserve it. Brother, I'm more than happy to see that day, but I really lost my motivation to fight on. I want to rest. Besides, I don't want anything. Brother, just be a good emperor and don't let so many people starve to death again. That way, the 9 years of my life will be worth it. I smiled slightly and said to Lee. Lee didn't say anything after hearing what I said. He then patted my shoulder to show his approval of my resignation. Oh, Brother Lee, you've been so good to me. After I bid farewell to Lee, I plan to leave Luoyang. Lee gave me some jewelry and silver tiles, a bottle of good liquor, and a swift horse. He wanted to see me off, but he didn't because there was too much for him to deal with. I didn't inform the other brothers who were close to me in the army. I just want to live quietly. I left alone now, just as I came to join the army alone 9 years ago.